Hello, this is Brandon P.T. Davis, theatrical scenic designer, and in this Vectorworks tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to take a 3D model and create 2D drafting. So the first thing I have is a 2D, 3D symbol, also known as a hybrid symbol. So this is the 2D element, and here's the 3D element of our basic wall. I'm going to go back in top plan view. Currently I have this class as set wall. So if you had a more complex drawing, you might have a lot of different classes, which will give you the ability to turn the different classes on and off, so you can kind of control what you're showing in your viewports. So we want to transfer this we want to transfer this to our sheet layer. We're going to put this on sheet layer 1 elevations. To do that, I'm going to go to viewport, create viewport. We'll go ahead and let Vectorworks generate the viewport drawing number names. We want to create this on the elevations sheet layer. We're going to use our default drawing label, which is with this file. We're going to go ahead and let this be drawing 1. This is the wall front. Sorry, it's a wall plan. We'll do wall front later. Check that your layers are selected. We only have one layer. And this is where we could toggle different classes on and off. This file is so simple that we actually will use all of the classes that are in the file. And we want to change our scale to 1/2 inch scale. We'll go ahead and keep the rendering to wireframe and the view to top plan view. And I'm going to press OK. So now it's transferred me to the sheet layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this to the top. If I hit Control and Shift, I can drag and duplicate, so I have 2 of these. So now in the object info palette, if I scroll down to this section here where it says view, I'm going to change this to front view. So now we have, this is still in wireframe, so it doesn't look necessarily like 2D drafting. So what we need to do is we need to adjust the rendering mode. So right here we have background render. So if I went to background render and I selected hidden line, and I could scroll up, press update, that kind of gives us the line work that we would expect in 2D drafting. But with this our ability to use these 3D models, we can actually enhance this. So what I have is I have a special RenderWorks style that's called model drafting, which is essentially kind of white model drafting look. So if I were to go to my render styles, here's my model drafting. Let me make sure I'm in the right project. So if I go to edit, I can show you that I have anti-aliasing and shadows and textures turned on. I have displacement mapping, but I have color off, camera effects off, grass blurriness. I have anti-aliasing and curve geometry set to high. And then we have soft shadows to low, indirect lighting low, environmental. So if you want to recreate this, or need to recreate this, these are the settings that I'm using. So that's what I have. So I'm going to set this to the background, to the custom RenderWorks that I have. And then the foreground render, and not foreground background, foreground render, I'm going to set this to that hidden line, and I'm going to update that. So this, let's get it 1 second. This kind of gives us a little bit of shadowing effect that will help kind of pop out the details. One of the great things is you can see there's a little bit of shadow where the wall meets. So that's basically where we're going to start with this document. I shift this to the side. I'm going to create 2 sections. I'm going to let Vectorworks generate those sections. What I like to do first is I'm going to draw a line in the center between the door. So we want to get a section of the door. Make sure that this is selected the center. I want to add a 1/2 inch to both sides. So we're going to have a section marker that's generated. We don't want the section marker on top of the drawing. So I like to go a 1/2 inch above and below. So just that's 6 inches or plus 1 inch. We can get there we go. So I'm going to select the viewport and I'm going to go to modify, sorry, not modify. I'm going to go to view and then create section viewport. Going to go to the top of the line that I created and the bottom of the line. Now you'll see that there's a little arrow right here. So this is asking what direction do we want the section to cut. So I've decided that I want the section to go to the right of the drawing. So I'm going to do this to the right side. I'm going to click once and actually just double click. We want to make sure that our drawing label is selected, the proper one. We'll let Vectorworks generate that. The drawing number, of course, is automatically generated. And then I'm going to call this section 2. Actually, sorry, section 1. Because it'll be the first. We want to do this in all caps. Wall, section 1. Keep everything 1/2 inch scale. These are all good. And I'll show you how to modify this a little bit later. Show you how that works. So now I have my first section. We want our section to line up to our drawing. So I'll slide this over. Now I'm going to create another section. I'm going to move my arrow to about center of this wall. And then I'm going to repeat the process. So view, create section viewport, make sure that you have your viewport selected. Make sure we have the right drawing label selected, which we do. Everything's good. Press OK. So now I have another section. Make sure that this one's in alignment with that one. Move it over. Alright, so we already have, so what I want to show you is if you go into the advanced properties, we can change. So sometimes, I set this to medium and press OK. You'll notice that the section line is now on our medium line weight that I have in the document. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change this back to medium. You might have this merge cross section selected. So if we look here, I have to update this real quick. You can't really tell that there's any delineation between the wall and the molding. So if I go back to our advanced properties, we want this to separate cross sections, and then make sure that your extents beyond are set to your fine line weight or light line weight. So press OK. So if we watch as I press update, see now we have lines between where the wall meets and where all the the trim profiles are. So that makes it a little bit easier for the carpenters to kind of understand the where the molding and stuff sets. So I recommend that. So before we get, the next thing that we want to do is we are going to get a couple more viewports, which we've done in the 2D section, but I'm just going to draw some circles. They're currently on the none class, which is good. So these circles are the trim profiles that we want to create. I'll move this one over a little bit. So we'll do some detail viewports, and we're going to put them underneath our front elevation wall. So I'll start with the baseboard. I have the circle selected. I'm going to go to View, and then we're going to go to Create Detail Viewport. Change the scale to 3-inch. So I have the right drawing label. I'll call this baseboard. And all these attributes are good. So press OK. So now this has been generated. So, and then we'll just go. I'm going to quickly go through and get the other done. Alright, so now I have all of my viewports created. Now we just need to add details and modify them. So first thing we need to do is make sure that all of our viewports are on the viewport class. So sheet layer, viewport class. Next, we're going to go into our top plan. I'm going to go to annotations. I'm going to quickly get these annotations. So I'd like to move this about here, just stretch across. Make sure that this viewport, make sure that the drawing label is set to our drawing label class. And then I'm going to I'm going to quickly dimension this, which we've gone over before. So get the overall, the wall dimensions, dimension to dimension, so you can get the overall. So I like to do a 2-inch by 2-inch square. Press OK. Set that in between. I'll set one of these in the front. So we have a little bit of a gap so it's easy to read. And I'll just nudge this a little bit. And so that kind of gives us all of our main dimensions. So exit the annotation. Come in here. So this needs to be a little bit lower. So we want this. Make sure you class this. We have to make sure everything is classed properly. Drawing label. We'll select the section markers. We want to change the class to the sheet layer And then we have section line. And then I like to change the marker scale, divide that by half, so it's a little bit easier to, you know, it's not on top of the drawing, which we don't want. And then we're going to go and quickly dimension this. So you want to make sure that you're not going from the edge, because what, you know, they're going to build the wall. The molding gets attached to the wall. So we're going from edge to edge, and then we want to skip over the dimension, get the width of the door, edge of the wall, and then edge of the wall. Nudge this down. Then you add our key person. So if I go to the top of this, common, figures, pick your favorite 2D figure, line it here. This has to be in the class as well. Go ahead and put this in the drawing label class. Our dimensions are in the dimension class. Everything in this area is classed. So exit the viewport. Just move these down a little bit for now. And this section's a good place to let the builders know the depth of the reveal in the door. And since they're going to probably buy the door, you don't have to give the dimension of the door. If you wanted to build, I would do a detailed drawing of the door separately. So I'm going to make sure that we have this in the correct class. So select these. These actually go into the section line class. Make the markers half the size. And dimension. So again, we don't want anything crossing. So we'll add that rectangle. And then last thing, I need to get these guys taken care of. So These drawing labels are pretty good. What we want to do is try to get this in alignment with the edge of this label, and then get this edge aligned with this label, but then also in line with, there we go. Delete that extra line. And sometimes if I have a hard time getting things lined up, I might just draw a line so I can get here, get our labels all lined up. I select these 3 views ports. Going to go to align, distribute horizontally, so now they're equally distanced. Go into each one. And see these red dashed lines, in case you weren't aware, that means that your viewport's out of date. So, if you move things around when you're working, this could happen. So sometimes it's a good idea just to update and make sure that nothing's changed, which we know nothing has changed. I might just move this a little bit, take advantage of the paper space, so we don't have a whole lot going on. And that is kind of a completed package. Of course, you can come in here, go to Title Block Manager. You can change, add the designer's name, or you try, change any of the information that you need to change for that drawing. Then we'll go to File, Publish. Make sure that our sheet layer 1 is selected. Go to Publish and Save. And there we are, PDF of our drawing. So I can zoom in. There's all of our line weight, line work, dimensions. There we are. So this concludes our Vectorworks tutorial. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.